have 51 Russell County inmates for a total of 131. And I got our action plan back for our second inspection. I sent it in to you, Judge Robertson. Kim got it. And so that's it, guys.
Expenses $133,783. Right?
Yeah, so it totaled $41,414.05, which is, I think, pretty good. Wasn't as good as last, no, was it, Larry?
No. No, I commented on that. Doing a good job, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Robbie.
I make a motion, we accept the detention report.
Motion by Magistrate Johnson, second by Magistrate Holt to accept the detention center report. Call the roll, please.
Magistrate Lloyd?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Richardson?
Yes.
Magistrate Holt?
Yes.
Magistrate Liddell?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks, Bobby. Next time, we've got the treasurer's monthly settlement report.
Ending balance in the general account was $1,013,021.72. Ending balance in the road account was $1,368,892.47. Ending balance in the jail account was $836,653.56. Ending balance in the LGEA account was $11,072.46. Ending balance in the ASAP account was $86,087.24. Ending balance in the grant account was $32,000 even. Ending balance in the tourism account was $17,981.85. Ending balance in the dispatch account was $41,611.25. Ending balance in the airport general account was $44,893.98. Ending balance in the airport project account was $47,198.36. Ending balance in the DFC account was $12,101.21. Ending balance in the airport fuel account was $32,859.34. Ending balance in the ABC account was $35,033.75, with the total ending balance of all funds at $3,579,407.19. All accounts are balanced, imbalanced. You also have the quarterly report and the quarterly financial statement enclosed with your packet. All of those are accurate and have been uploaded to DLG. Also included in that was the list of the long-term liabilities. And the only other thing you folks gave me pre-approval to do an AE transfer at the end of the quarter, and there was only one, and the copy of that is also in your packet. But that was already pre-approved, so I don't need approval on that.
We just need a motion to approve the monthly and quarterly settlement report. Motion by Magistrate Waddell, second by Magistrate Richardson to approve those reports. Call the roll, please.
Magistrate Richardson?
Yes.
Magistrate Holt?
Yes.
Magistrate Lloyd?
Yes.
Magistrate Liddell?
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, the next thing, we need to transfer $97,522.06 from the general fund to the grants fund to make a payment on the safe fund. They're getting probably, HM, were they 85% maybe? 95 now, okay. So they're getting, they're complete.
We'll be doing punch this year.
Okay.
I make a motion to do the transfer.
Motion by Magistrate Johnson, second by Magistrate Richardson to do the transfer from the general to the grant to pay the bills on the safe funds. Call the roll, please.
Magistrate Johnson?
Yes.
Magistrate Liddell?
Yes.
Magistrate Holt?
Yes.
Magistrate Lloyd?
Yes.
Magistrate Richardson?
Yes.
Okay, next we got from Ross Sinclair and Associates, Mr. Brian Skinner and Mr. Wendell Emerson. They're wanting to share with us some information on the refinancing of bond sales for the Judicial Center and possibly looking into doing something on the jail as soon as we can also to try to save us some money.
We can't do nothing on this, it's been there 10 years, can we?
By December we can start, I think, working on that. December, January.
We can do it, we can still do it.
Good evening, I'm Brian Skinner. Like the judge said, here with a few pieces of good news. Of course, the best good news is we have Wendell with us tonight. He's going to buy me dinner here in a little while. So,
That's for all of us.
let's get over that quick enough. Page he handed out first one we'll talk about is the Judicial Center. These are bonds we came to you last year or so, and proposed refinancing. We were able to lock in the rates a couple months ago and go ahead and sell those bonds. Kind of go over this again for you. On this left side is the 2009 Judicial Center bonds. Now, all this debt service is paid by AOC. The county doesn't pay any of this. If you go to the right, that middle column is the non-refunded portion. This is the portion that makes Kim's job very difficult to balance what's outstanding on the old ones and the new ones, but that's more her problem than yours. So we go to the new bond issue payments, and this is kind of where we save the money. These are the new bond payments, principal and interest. I believe I have a typo there and had an interest column twice, but those are the fees we negotiated down a little bit from EC on the other side. We're $2,200 a year to $1,500, but again, that's AOC paying that, not you, but you benefit from those savings. We basically subtract all those, and we get the far right column that shows what the annual savings are on the debt service. So AOC likes us to front load these savings. They want to see the savings now, as soon as they can for their budget. So what they do, they want me to front load as much as possible, which is a little different than I'll show you on the next page that we'll hand out for the jail, but just so you can see it's a little bit different. The total savings that AOC would realize were about $358,000 over the life of this bond issue. What they do is they give the county 10% of that back, basically for your trouble and trouble with judges and fiscal courts for passing everything and jumping through all the hoops that we have to jump through. And they just wire that to the fiscal court. Hopefully they've already gotten that. If they haven't, it should be there very soon. If you haven't, I will call them tomorrow. And okay, I'll keep on them. Sometimes they will drag their feet sometimes without a few phone calls. So we'll get that to you, but it's finalized. That I will handle, and we'll make sure you get that $35,000. But they pay that up front, and that just goes into the general fund or however the county wants to handle that. It doesn't have to go to debt service or anything like that. Do you want to hand out the next one? Or yeah. So you see on the bottom left there, those are the savings. So 5% was our target, which is pretty much our target for any refunding. So we got about 5.8. We call it net present value savings. The far right kind of shows the interest rate reduction, which is, factors into your savings. So we went from just over 4% on the old bonds to just under 2% on the new bonds. Interest rates are incredibly low now, kind of like you're refunding your mortgage. If you can go down a percentage point, it's probably worth it. Here we went down 2 percentage points, so definitely going to pay off.
Bond rating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So these bonds were sold based on the state's rating of AA3. So it's based on the state paying all these. These next bonds, you're able to refund because your bond rating is so good, and it's improved significantly since when the bonds were originally issued. They'll hand that out now, but a little bit of the process for these, it's a little more involved with the county. There will be another ratings call, a little bit more information we've got to collect, and it's based solely on the county's creditworthiness, much like your mortgage and your credit score. When these bonds were issued, the county had an underlying credit rating of Baa2. Currently, it's at an A1, I believe. So they've gone up from Baa2 to Baa1, A3, A2, A4, like 5 notches up. So that's going to yield us a lot better interest rates. Generally, I believe someone said before, you have to wait 10 years before you can refund something like this. With bond issues, you're able to do something we call advance refund one time during the life of this project. So we can call the bonds that are past that little middle section I'll show you again. All the debt service below that, we can call the principal amount on those. So again, there'll be a future years for Kim here to navigate where there's going to be a portion of the old bonds outstanding and the new bonds. But again, I'll kind of go through it. On the left is the 2010 bonds for the jail. That middle, again, is those bonds that are non-callable right now. And then the right is our estimated new debt service. Now, basically, there's a couple other rules we have to keep in mind also. For counties' debt issuances or any city, any government entity, if you go above $10 million in debt issuances in a year, it's called non-bank qualified. You might hear people say non-BQ, something like that. It means banks can't buy this. So we sold that, and you get a lot lower interest rates if banks can buy it. It's basically you increase the pool of potential investors, so you have more demand. You can get lower interest rates. So if we eliminate the banks, we get higher interest rates. So so what we can do is wait and then probably sell these in January. Well, we have to close them in January, possibly sell in December. So maybe your next couple fiscal court meetings, we can do the first and second readings of an ordinance for these and try to get the process started and try to close early next year. Capitalize on these rates before the Fed decreases too much. Yeah, so of course, these are just estimates. These are, it's maybe slightly conservative, but based on rates right now, kind of where we think they could go up by the time we sell them. You'll see that bottom right, again, we're at just over 4% again, kind of on these is basically the same rate as the 2009 Judicial Center from the other page. And we're thinking right now to be about 2.2%. In reality, if we sold them at the same time we sold the Judicial Center, your rating may be a notch below the state's, but it's general obligation, and it just trades a lot better. The counties do. There's so many deals out there that trade based on the state's rating. There's a lot of supply and not as much demand to go around because every school district trades the same way in the same category as the Judicial Center. So underwriters really like to see these general obligation bonds come to market. Right now, there's not a whole lot of them, so it's a pretty good time to try to capitalize on that.
And this money that you see over there, $172,000, that is all your money.
Yes, every year you realize that.
It comes back to you.
And then if you're wanting to structure it, or if you think you're gonna have, so this first year, we've got $35,000 estimated in savings. That's just kind of a factor of, by the time we get this done, you will have already paid your principal interest for this fiscal year. So we can add another one in if you don't want that much savings this year, and say you think you might need a little bit extra next year, we can structure that and change it just a little bit. It doesn't have to be exactly level, exactly like it's on here if you have a target. Any questions? Just threw a lot at you.
We'll need to get this done hopefully by December, January.
We'd like to,
We'll have two readings.
yeah, 2 readings, so maybe November, December meetings, and then after the first reading, we'll probably get with Kim and start doing the ratings calls and getting the official statement and documents, things ready like that, so that right after the second reading, we gotta have like a week to advertise. Try to stay away from Christmas, politically correct the holidays. There's not a whole lot of underwriters out there looking to work for a couple weeks, so we may have to juggle around, maybe sell the first couple weeks of January, but hopefully we can get in by mid-December.
Can you shed a little light on the interest cost, the difference between the two of them there?
On this most recent one?
On the detention center and also the judicial there.
Yeah, the true interest cost on the Series 2016, that's just a factor of the interest rates and what the underwriter charges, and this is just this is an actual rate, that 1.977. That's what we award the bonds on. So when we go to sell them, on the day of sale, we've advertised, we've got everything out there. We will take bids from, say, we solicit about 50 underwriters. A lot of them will get what they call a syndicate together, and we'll get maybe 5 bids. And we will award the bid based on the lowest true interest cost or TIC. So on that day, 1.977 was the lowest bid. Then we do our little math. So on the other side, that's just an estimate based on other sales. That 2.21 on Judicial Center, that's just an estimate. And then the top line there, the average coupon, that's just the average rate that you're paying on the old bonds.
Anybody else got any questions?
Thank you.
Appreciate you all coming.
To go down 2%.
Sharon.
I'll be in touch.
Thank you. All right, sounds good. Thank you all.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing we got on the agenda, we've got a few people here from the Health Department, Russell County Health Department and the District Health Department. Dr. Rick Miles is a board member on our local health department and our district health department. He's wanting to share a little info with us about maybe some stuff through Partners in Prevention, possibly the needle exchange program. The health department voted at our last meeting to pursue the needle exchange, but it has to go to local governments, city governments, and county governments. They have to be on board with it. He just wants to explain some things involved with it. Probably be no type of vote tonight, it's just informational right now. Just want to share with
How'd you get the laugh back there?
Well, most of you know me, and I see a lot of friends here, so I don't have to be too nervous about this, but I'm gonna be honest with you. 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have come and talked to you about this. I wouldn't have supported this at all. And that very first question is the exact same thing my wife said when I told her I was giving this talk tonight. You know, the first reaction is, why would we give needles to drug users? You know, and you guys know me. I've not been part of the opiate epidemic, as a lot of them have testified. I'm the last doctor they want to see. I don't write for a lot of narcotics. I'm a medical review officer. I do drug screening and have given lectures in National Association of Drug Courts twice, Kentucky's drug court. I've spoken to medical groups in Indiana, West Virginia, Kentucky, and I'm giving a 3-hour lecture on how to not prescribe opiates. So I'm a doctor that's opposed to the use of drugs and the abuse of drugs. I've been burned recently by somebody that I trust implicitly, and it's like one of my own kids hurt me. This affects everybody, every one of us, and there's not anybody here that doesn't have a family member or a friend that's been affected by the opiate epidemic. We're getting a lot more IV drug use, and that has to do with House Bill 1, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But as we decrease the number of pills that the doctors are writing, heroin's becoming the opiate of choice, and you get 4 doses of heroin for 1 dose or 1 OxyContin pill. So they're starting to use a lot more. Is it happening in Russell County? Oh yeah. My son has a friend, was talking about where he lives. They got a dartboard. They take the needles and stick them in the dartboard. They shoot up and then stick the needle back in the dartboard. Okay? It's going on. So why in the world would we give needles to drug users? Every day, 1 or more Kentuckians get infected with HIV and 2 get infected with hepatitis C virus.
So if we think about the Board of Health, our whole mission is to prevent the spread of disease, basically. So that's why we're talking about needle exchange.
Right. We're not talking about encouraging drug use. That's the last thing we want to do. They're going to do drugs anyway. I was reading an article the other day. A guy had HIV, knew he had HIV, was shooting up with his brother, and didn't even think about it to bother telling him he gave his brother HIV. You know, they're going to shoot up regardless. You know, and we'll talk about that. We're not going to encourage drug use by a needle exchange program. But what we are looking at is sharing syringes to injecting drugs. That's how hepatitis C is transmitted, as well as HIV/AIDS. Hemodialysis, long-term, blood transfusions before 1992 when we started checking for this. When I was in medical school and when I first started practice, we had hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and non-hepatitis A or B. We didn't even know about hepatitis C, so we weren't checking for it in the blood. So a lot of people got it from blood transfusions. A lot of people don't even know they have it, especially baby boomers in our generation. Don't even know they have it. From infected mother to child during birth, that's a great way to start life. Occupational exposures to blood, mostly needle sticks. I've had one myself. Baby boomers and sexual or household exposures, which are very rare. But the sharing needles and syringes is the #1 method for transmitting this. And if you look at this, rates of acute hepatitis C per 100,000 population, the #1 rate in the nation is Kentucky for hepatitis C. Okay? Recently, articles out, that's okay.
You may go back, okay.
Go on. Articles out, Appalachia gripped by hepatitis C epidemic, bracing for HIV. Our background, look at Kentucky, hepatitis C rates. Look at that, going up exponentially. Remember the old joke, you give me a penny today, 2 cents tomorrow, 3 cents, and by the end of the month, you're paying me as a millionaire, right? Same thing here, it's going up exponentially. So we're getting more and more and more people with hepatitis C. West Virginia's close to us. Indiana's gone up recently, Tennessee's gone down a little bit. But we're at the top. We're right there for episodes per 1,000. Morbidity and mortality, increases in hepatitis C related to injection.
These are going to go fast. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
okay. All right, ready to injection. So if you look here, non-urban, that means country, that's us, or versus urban. Incidence of hepatitis C among persons less than 30. Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, 2006, 2012. And look how the rate's gone up. And we'll show you why in a minute here. So, opioid prescriptions, like we just talked about earlier. Any opioid admissions for substance abuse, age 12, notice age 12 to 29 years of age. Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia. And it's gone up, and then the last 2011, which actually before House Bill 1, physicians started recognizing about 2010, we were prescribing too much. I can give you the history and take an hour to give it to you. Basically, we were told we were bad docs if we didn't prescribe narcotics. I was told there's a special place in hell for the doctors that don't treat pain at a lecture to the KMA because Russell County prescribed the least number of opiates per 1,000 of any of the counties in the state of Kentucky. I was told I was a bad doctor not treating pain at that point in time. I told them I didn't just use opiates, I treated the cause of pain, I used physical therapy. That's what they're getting into nowadays. So we started recognizing, even before House Bill 1, we started decreasing the opiates, but look what happened. The heroin rate just follows that directly. As the opiates that are being prescribed by doctors go down, the people that are addicted are gonna looking for an opiate. So they're gonna be doing heroin, so the epidemic's on its way up. Next. This is hazard, 24 months in hazard. And the blue dots are hepatitis C virus negative. The red dots are the positives. We're going to show you the incidence, but notice how all these interact. Look at this. So you got a friend, and he shoots up with another friend, and they shoot up with 2 or 3 other friends. Look how these are all the same group of people interacting with each other. This is kind of their own little area, this is their own little area, that's their own. But look what happens. See the yellow? All of a sudden you're getting more hepatitis C. So, you know, they're spreading it. Even the people in the small group here, somebody shot up with somebody in this group because here hepatitis C appeared there, hepatitis C appeared up there. So, you know, they're interacting with each other. You know, and you all know that. As a physician, I've told other physicians, I'm actually mentoring physicians that their licenses are in trouble for overprescribing narcotics. I'm the one that goes in and watches them practice, and I'm doing some mentoring with that. And I tell them, you quit prescribing narcotics, in 2 weeks they're going to leave you alone. They know who prescribes, who doesn't. You know, the drug addicts left me alone. They come in, I tell them, I want to be part of your problem. I mean, your solution, not part of your problem. And the word got out, don't go to him, he's not going to prescribe them. I didn't have that many coming in looking for narcotics. I go in the emergency room, every 3rd patient was wanting a narcotic when I was working in the emergency room. So they know, they interact, it's a big group together, okay? And so they're going to do whatever they can do to get it. And that's just Hazard, Kentucky, in 24 months. That's how many new hepatitis C cases, those yellow ones, have popped up there. Next. So increases in drug and opium overdoses. More people died from overdoses in the United States in 2014 than any previous year. Kentucky was ranked number 4 for drug overdoses. Russell County in 2014, I believe, was one of the top overdose rates. Now you look, you got 15,000 people, you have someone to do that, but if you look at the rate of overdose for our county, we're the top. Next year, thank God, it came back down some. But it's here. I mean, people are overdosing on the opiates. All right, so all drug overdose deaths, drugs due to opiates. And you can watch the increase from 2000, which is when we started prescribing. That's when Big Pharma came out with the Opana and the oxycodone. They sent out the 6-foot-tall, beautiful models that were telling us we need to prescribe, and the UK ball players that came out and told us we need to prescribe. We were going to lectures with pain specialists from Harvard and all that, telling us we needed to prescribe. So doctors started prescribing the opiates. You know, even at that time, I could tell that was stupidity, but that's what we were told, to be good doctors, what you need to do. Then all of a sudden, we started noticing we got too many people addicted. We prescribe too much. So the drug overdoses have gone up. But look at this. That's nationwide. Look where Kentucky would be if you scale that thing down. We're way off the chart for opiate overdoses. Background, Indiana, you all heard of Scott County, Indiana. They had 5 cases of HIV a year for years. Then all of a sudden, between December and spring, so we're talking about 4 months, they went up to 180 new cases. They were shooting up Opanas, what they were doing, and they were sharing needles. It was just in that small community. That's what, 2,500 people, 2,400 people in that community.
That's Seymour, isn't it?
That's Seymour.
Yeah.
The surge attributed to injecting drugs and multiple known connections to Kentuckians. And Louisville's one of the biggest areas for opiates right now. It's one of the bypasses. You go anywhere in the United States, when you come up from Mexico, they hit Europe, go up to Chicago, hit Louisville, go up to Chicago, go into New York, everywhere. So it's in the center, and that's just north. Okay? So hepatitis positive labs, Russell County went from 36 in 2014 to 60. Okay? That's 75% increase. And again, we talk about exponential rise. That keeps on going. Be 120 next year and 180 the year after that. And it's going to be huge. And all the counties surrounding us. Adair County went from 25 to 31. Next. Overdose fatalities. We were talking about our rate. Russell County, 2014, we were 49.52 per 100,000 population. I think Clinton County is the only one that beat us on that one. Okay. Drug overdose deaths, once again, Russell County, Clinton County, compare the surrounding areas. Wayne County's high, Taylor County's high. So we've got a major problem. These are counties that are at risk. And the green areas are the counties at risk. Figures, line, liars, figure, the white county in the middle of the green county here, that's Pulaski County. They're at risk, but just the statistics didn't work out for that. Okay, now, take a look at this. Well, it didn't-
Okay, there you go.
there you go. Those stars are our needle exchange programs. Louisville, Lexington, Northern Kentucky. We've got some needle exchange programs. There's nothing in the counties that are at risk. So we got people out here shooting up, exchanging needles. We're at risk for the epidemics hitting us. We're at risk for HIV. We're at risk for hepatitis C. And without the syringe exchange program, I think we're going to have more and more problems.
And now we are allowed to release this information. It says down there at the bottom, do not disseminate. But, and since that slide, we have 15 needle exchanges across the state now.
Yeah. Came down, or their executive came down and spoke to us, and he was very positive about it. He was very positive about the situation. So harm reduction, syringe exchange programs save lives. Research proven they can help stop the spread of HIV, hepatitis C, and do not increase drug use. And there's plenty of studies show that. Sharing needles is an easy way to get HIV, hepatitis C. If you shoot drugs, don't share needles. Next.
I have some hiccups here, but they're going to come in just a second. Several of them.
Okay, 30 years of research and proof. Somebody asking us, find me some negatives, find me some negative studies. It's hard to find negative studies. It works. You sit there, hit your button. Syringe exchange programs are widely considered to be effective way of reducing HIV among individuals who inject illicit drugs. There's ample evidence that they also promote entry and retention and treatment. That's the other thing. When you give them the needle, you don't just hand them the needle. It's also an opportunity to talk to them about going into rehab. Number one, there's somebody that actually cares whether I get sick or not. How many of these people have people, they've already alienated themselves from their family. They stole all their father's power tools. He's not going to talk to them. They got their employer PO'd because they had come in high so much they've lost their job. They don't have any insurance. But here's somebody that actually cares enough to try to keep me from getting sick. So maybe I'll listen to them. And even if there's 100 drug addicts and you only get 3 or 4 out there to do that, if it's your family member that you get off of it and they quit stealing your power tools and you quit having this paid for them to go to rehab, it's worth it to you, right? I mean, you just make a dent in any of them. And if you look at the exponential function, right? One person infects 10 people, infects 100 people. If you can stop 2 or 3, that's that many more that we haven't got infected. Next. So harm reduction, how communities feel. Winter's coming. Okay, so you're sliding on the road, Mr. Waddell, and your tail end starts swiveling. What's the first reaction? Slam on my brakes and jerk it away from this turn. What's the right thing to do?
I always grab my trailer brakes and straighten myself up.
But you don't. You don't brake. You take your brakes off, right? You take your brakes off and you turn toward the skid. So your gut feeling says, don't do this. This is terrible. But in reality, the facts are, it's what you need to do. You need to take the brakes off, until you get control of it, and then you pump them. And you need to turn in the direction of the skid, not away from it. So our brain says one thing, but the facts say something totally different. Studies have shown that syringe exchange programs actually decrease crime in the area they're located in. They don't increase it, they decrease it. Next. So discarded needles don't increase after the opening of the syringe exchange program. They actually keep dirty syringes off the street. Here's a police officer from Macon County, North Carolina. Increase the safety of police officers. Indeed, the programs have decreased needle stick injuries to police officers by 66%. 66%. I can tell you, I got stuck by a needle that was left in a bed in the hospital, and going through and having to take the HIV medicine until the patient's HIV came back is scary, okay? The diarrhea is horrible, okay? It's a terrible thing. Just to be scared that I may have gotten HIV from needle stick. I'm a police officer, and I'm doing a pat down on somebody that gets stuck with a needle, okay? Next. Well, you got it in here. Cities that adopted needle exchange programs, dramatic reduction of needle stick department. You crawl on your hands and knees through smoke-filled rooms. You're sitting there, you're in a fire, you're looking for somebody, you're trying to do somebody a favor, and you get stuck by a dirty needle. Would you rather be stuck by a needle that's been used by 50 people or a needle that's been used by one person? Next. Harm reduction programs, what the studies show. Syringe exchange programs do not encourage drug use among syringe exchange participants or the recruitment of first-time drug users. Through the referrals to substance abuse Syringe exchange programs often help intravenous drug users stop using the drugs. It's an opportunity to talk to them and discuss it with them. Based upon the literature that's been presented to me, syringe exchange programs do not increase crime or drug abuse, but rather greatly enhance officer and public safety. And again, that's Greensboro, North Carolina.
And I think 25% of Louisville needle exchange participants have gone to rehab, correct, Dr. Wayman, is that right?
Have been referred,
Referred to, okay.
so at least they were interested.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's helped Louisville a lot.
And Lexington, we're going to show you a thing on Lexington too.
Yeah.
Same thing here. Every dollar spent on syringe exchange programs, $7 are saved in healthcare costs for people who rely on Medicaid and Medicare. A clean syringe costs 97% or less, while a lifetime of treating someone with HIV is $380,000. Think about Scott, Indiana, okay? 180 new HIV cases at $380,000 apiece. That's a town of 2,500 people. What's that cost going to do to Russell Springs or Jamestown if it hits here? I mean, what's it going to do? Treating hepatitis C costs about $85,000. That's a 93 to 95% cure rate for hepatitis C, but guess what? Most people that have it don't even know they've got it. Dr. Wayman can tell you a recent place, 23 inmates checked them, 12 of them had hepatitis C. Didn't know they had it. I have had some of the most upstanding citizens you've ever seen. They're good, fine people. You couldn't even tell they were sick. Found out they had hepatitis C. Got it as baby boomers in our wilder young years when we did some crazy stuff, and we didn't know about hepatitis C. You know, and these are upright, outstanding citizens, but they got hepatitis C and didn't know they had it. You know, one of the things I've recommended for the health fair, they didn't get done this year, I'm going to push for it again next year, is do hepatitis C screening along with your prostate screenings and your cholesterols and all that sort of stuff, and see how many people we've got that have it. Because we're the #1 rate in the United States for hepatitis C. And this is a disease that sneaks up on you. You can look healthy, feel healthy, then you go into liver failure, and it's a horrible way to die. Have you ever seen anybody, an old burned out alcoholic that drank too much? Stop thinking about somebody that got a blood transfusion in the 1990s and didn't even know they had hepatitis C. And there's, you know.
A lot of the veterans have it too. and they
Don't know,
that.
exactly. Well, they shot up IV
Yeah,
drugs.
shot up. Yeah.
I was touring the hospitals and the VAs right after the war and
Yeah.
seeing what went on with the drugs. So.
Yeah.
Local options for syringe exchange programs, injecting addicts to be run by the county public health department. This is the law. It's one of the best laws in the United States. Kentucky passed it. Okay? Senate Bill 192. Good Samaritan. So you're not going to turn in somebody if they report an overdose. They're not going to say, I'm going to let my friend die rather than call the cops because I'm going to get arrested. They call for an overdose, they're not going to arrest them right then and there. Okay? Access by emergency workers to naloxone for overdose. You know, that's the medicine that stops them. It doesn't stop them permanently, but it reverses the respiratory depression that goes on with these opiates where they quit breathing and they die, at least long enough to get them to the hospital. So pharmacists are able to dispense that, and the emergency workers, our EMTs and things have that access. More state funding Medicaid program for addiction treatment programs. You know, that's the thing. We need, as far as I'm concerned, every 2 or 3 county needs a drug rehab center that will take them in for a year at no cost. Because as a doctor, they come to me, they've hit rock bottom. They got no family support, no health insurance, no job, nothing. They finally decided they've hit rock bottom, they need help. And I called Charter Ridge and they said, well, we can treat them for 3 days as an outpatient since they don't have any insurance. That's useless. I had a young guy here from Russell County, great young guy, great family, was shooting heroin over in Bowling Green, got in trouble with the state, was going to do 5 years in prison. He opted to go to the rehab program. We got him into Salvation Army program in Louisville. He said the first 4 months I told him what they wanted to hear. I BS'd him. He said after 4 months I realized I needed to go with the program. He stayed for a year. Kids graduated from engineering school, got a family, everything's going well, drug-free now. But it takes that long. You know, 2 or 3 weeks is useless. You're wasting your time and money. We need addiction treatment programs. And if y'all have any political say in it, we need to get them in Russell County, Adair County. You know, we need to get them in this area so we can get some people in there and get them taken care of because we need it badly. So that's intravenous drug use cases of HIV dropped 70% savings in Washington, D.C., $46 million saved since 2008. This was 2015, so in 7 years, you're talking about $6.5 million a year saved. That's the city of Washington, D.C., just the city. You skipped the department. Indiana needle sharing dropped from 18% to 5% within the first few months. Okay, so they're going to shoot up. They're going to find the needle shoot up. It's better they shoot up with a clean needle, come back and get it done. Maybe we can get them into rehab, but at least they're not spreading it to everybody else. And then to the mother that shoots up and goes and then has the baby, and the baby goes through neonatal abstinence syndrome, withdrawal in the hospital, goes through the same hell that she could have gone through, you know, and then has hepatitis C or HIV along with that. That's what you're doing to that baby. So this gives us an opportunity to do some needle exchange programs and make a difference with them. Recent headlines, 10, 13, 15 Louisville served 822 in 4 months. The exchange rate was 1.8 new to 1 used. So you're talking about 80%. Lexington, 63 in 1.5 months. The exchange rate was 0.8 new to 1 used. So they actually got more back than they handed out in Lexington. Okay. So recent headlines, even Mitch McConnell has finally come around and said, you know, we need to do something about this. The ban's ended up spearheaded by Kentucky Republicans, House Chair Hal Rogers, and Senate Majority Mitch McConnell, response to the HIV crisis in Indiana and heroin epidemic nationwide. And I'm telling you, it's not hit badly down here. It's here. It's not hit badly down here. Northern Kentucky's being devastated. I got a friend spending almost his entire time working on that. Louisville and Lexington is there. And it's going to get here. Eastern Kentucky, you know, we've got more opiate abuse than anywhere in the country. And it's a battle the doctors are going to be fighting. Battle that we're fighting with House Bill 1 was the start. But like I said, we're taking more license probably the last 5 years than it's taken since I've been in practice. We're going to try to reverse that trend and stop that. But until we get a population that's not addicted to opiates, if they can't get their pills, these opiates are usually going to be looking for their opiates. They're going to do it through heroin, but they're going to do it through. And it's easy to say, just let them die. They're drug addicts. That drug addict may reverse his life and wind up being the nurse that waits on you and takes care of you in the hospital 20 years later. May reverse your life and wind up being your preacher. Okay? I've had patients do that, you know, make a difference in their life. So it's not that their lives are useless because they're druggies. We've all done stupid stuff when we were younger. We've always gotten in trouble. Unfortunately, heroin is much worse an addiction than almost anything else that was around. HIV testing, linkage to care are options. Hepatitis C testing and linkage to care are options, which we're working on. Naloxone we got available. Syringe exchange programs, increased drug treatment programs. We're at the syringe exchange programs. It's time to step up. And I understand politically. You're going to be going to McDonald's. Why would you give needles to drug users? And you all need to be able to explain some of this to them, why we would think about doing that. But we need your support. This is something, like I said, I'd rather be at home with my 1-year-old grandson tonight. He's over there. I'd rather be there than sitting here talking to you all about this. But since I've retired, one of my missions is to try to make a difference in this epidemic. And like I said, I'm giving lectures and going places. We need to make a difference in this epidemic. We need to stop the hepatitis C. We need to stop the HIV. And we need to stop the drug addiction. But we're not going to stop the drug addiction overnight. But we can make a major, major impact reasonably and professionally. Dr. Wayman is our expert, so when you all have some questions for me, I'm going to defer a lot to her. You know, she knows about this. She's the one that's going to be helping us run this through the health department with our other associates here. But it'll be done right, and you know we'll do that. But we need your all support on this.
The way this was drawn up through the legislature too, it's got to be passed by your local fiscal courts and city council.
It has to be
in order to go. They've got to be all of them.
We need local support for it to go. We do. But like I said, you can do the knee-jerk reaction, hit your brakes and skid and turn the wrong way, or you can take your foot off the brake, turn the car in the right direction, and do the right thing.
Well, personally, myself, I think we need it here in Ross County because it is bad.
Oh, yes, sir.
And I mean,
Judge Malone spoke to our health department about at a playground where a child had got stuck, you know, out at a school playground. So, that's just one instance, but it can happen.
They are here, you all, because I
I
walk
find
them
them
down
down
the
here
roads and
at
we
Pleasant
see.
Hill all the time. They just pull up and you throw them out. Right down here below your house. I told you about it here a while back, didn't I?
Don't go pointing fingers.
Well, I'm not pointing that finger at her, Doc. But, I mean, they had stuck them down in their beer bottles and lined them up on the ramp.
Have I got to bring you a needle in order to get a clean one?
The answer is yes, right? Do you have to bring a needle in order to get a clean one?
Well, there are different ways of doing it, but most places start off with just come and get the clean
bring the old ones
What's
back.
the incentive, then to not pass it to somebody else? If I use it, I need to bring it back to you to get me clean,
Yes,
I
you
don't
do.
need to give it to
Yes,
him.
you do, but they have found in the way different people did it, like for instance, Louisville first started, they didn't have a statement to say, you must bring me one and I'll give you one. It took them a while to get to that point, but they are at 1-to-1. Because you have to educate the people that are coming to you, and you have to be an incentive for them to come to you in the first place. And in the beginning, they don't even know what it's all about, so that's how it starts. Now, Lexington started at 1-to-1, and from what I've read, the programs that have done it 1-to-1 have had more trouble than the programs that started off, just bring me what you have and we'll exchange it. But eventually they've all changed to 1-to-1 because that's what's happening. So it goes in the right direction.
Is there funding, we've talked about this, I'm sure there's a question there, like, purchase the needles through your health department budget?
The syringes are really inexpensive. So the stuff you have to get, the sterile stuff, and it's not just syringes, it's sterile water and all sorts of little goodies to make sure they don't use tap water or somebody else's water to make this stuff. Is cheap. It's the people running it that are expensive. So some places use volunteers. We really would like to have a person who's been trained in mental health so they can know how to speak to these guys and get a rapport going. Where do we get them? We're wondering whether we can partner with folks like Adonta that might have somebody like that. These places open in a small county like yours, probably not more than 3 hours a week. So it's not a biggie. We can write grants, we can have instant $1,000 from these syringe programs that actually we can write for what am I trying to say, grants. They actually will give you $1,000, boom, boom, like that, just to get you going. So the syringes and the things that you actually hand out are not expensive. The testing that you would do in these places is also free because the state gives us HIV kits and Hep C kits. So they don't cost anything, it's just the human labor, the organizing. And of course, we're doing this now on health department time, so some of it will be done on regular health department time. So I don't think money is a big issue.
Well, money is a biggie, and you sit there and think $380,000 to treat one case of HIV.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or if you sit there and think of $85,000 for one course of treatment for hepatitis C.
Yeah,
Money
I
is a
wasn't
biggie.
talking about
If you think
that.
about what it's gonna cost to treat your wife, because she's a nurse that works at the hospital and sticks herself with a needle from somebody that
Yeah.
is infected and came in. So, you know, like I said, it's $1, you get $7 back. That's better than the interest rate you just got here.
Yeah. And there are other things, there's like, if you use dirty needles, it's not just Hep C and HIV, you can just get a regular infection.
Yeah.
Right? That infection goes to your heart, and next thing is you're having heart surgery, and you're in the ICU. And I was given the figure that one day in ICU is $10,000. It's probably enough money to run.
More than that, I guarantee you.
It's probably enough money to run a syringe exchange.
Where would we give them the needles? Health department?
The site's generally set up,
They are at the
Usually
health
for that.
department.
Yeah.
In Louisville, they actually drive out to different places.
They go
but-
to the homeless out of the night and give them to them, I know that.
But in smaller places,
Yeah.
they're at the health department. In Lexington, people walk into the health department and they tell the person at the window what they need.
Yeah.
So when you see all these folks, you don't know who they are and
Yeah.
what they want. So there is no, you can't pick them out. Russell
Think they'd
County
come
is
here and
well
get 'em?
situated because you have,
Miles,
do what?
do you think the people that's using them would come to the health department and give them?
I think there's some that would. I think the word needs to get around
Right.
eventually. You know, I mean, like I said, they're gonna shoot up regardless, and they're gonna take whatever
Yeah, I know
advantage they
that.
can. But people aren't stupid in terms of, well, you know, I've got 50 people I'm sharing a needle with. If I get a clean needle, it's not gonna
Yeah.
cost me anything.
Uh,
You know, I mean, that's gonna decrease my chances.
They
slipper wouldn't be lined up the first day you started.
No.
No, it's word has to, like I said, if I put right narcotics, it takes about 2 weeks for the word to get around, but it does get around. And they all talk to each other, they know who's easy, who's not, who you can
Yep.
get what from, you know, they discuss this.
They know who to go to and who not to.
Yeah. And these aren't evil people.
No, they're good
You know,
people.
a lot of them, they're
They're
decent
just
people who have
They just
an
need-
addiction problem. They're addicted.
They need help.
And a lot of times it started with a hip surgery where the
Yep.
doctor broke too many narcotics, or back pain where instead of sending them to physical therapy, the doctor broke too many narcotics. And, you know, medical profession, we're just as culpable in this as a pharmacy is. You know, it was a lot easier to spend 2 minutes writing a prescription than it was to spend 30 minutes talking to you.
Mhm.
And, you know,
And a lot of them rather get on a plane, spend $59, go to Florida and bring back a sack load.
exactly.
The
So,
field train.
the pills, but now the pills are going down and they're using
Yep.
more IVs, so, you know, this is just,
It's
like I
moved
said,
to Tennessee
5 years
now.
ago, I wouldn't have been supporting this so big, but right now, it's
Yep.
just, to me, it's a no-brainer. And the doctors on the health department, all of us, it was a no, Gary saw how passionate we were, you know, it was a no-brainer, the doctors on it, and I understand for the politicians, it's, you know, what are people gonna think?
The
And I know that same
the
thing, what
vote
are the
was
people
pretty
gonna
much
think?
split between,
Yeah, it was pretty much the county officials versus the doctors on the health department initially.
Well, you'll be saving money, you'll be saving
it
lots
would have to
of
be
money.
done as an ordinance, I think, is that correct? I'm sure it is. 2 readings.
It depends on what if it's required to approve it, yes.
We're required by the KRS, the legislature requires the local fiscal court and city councils of the county all to be on board with it.
And of course, the police force has to be on board,
And I'm talking about the voting
Yeah.
members of the 3 local
because
governments.
everybody
all
has to
be on
sort of work together to make this happen.
Well, I'll tell you, I would have never thought that I would have seen it in Russell County. Because, I mean, Dr. Miles knows I travel there, everybody here knows I travel all over the United States. And I've seen it out, you know, and I thought, well, that'll never get to Russell County, but it's here. And I mean, it's in Kentucky bad. I mean, that's my opinion.
Anybody else got any comments on the court? I mean, we're not gonna do nothing tonight, but if it's done, it has to be done by an ordinance. We have to have 2 readings and vote on the second reading.
I do have one thing I know is gonna be, brought up when we start thinking about this out. Dr. Miles, you've been here like the rest of us, you know, you're either for or against, there's no gray. How do you tie this in with prevention? I know what you're saying, I know what that slide says, but Uncle Joe out here, you know Russell County, Dr. Miles, we're pretty slow to catch fire, you know, on the, you're gonna have to sell it. How do you do that?
You know, I have to sell it at home to my wife when I came home and told her about it, okay? I understand exactly what you're saying. Had sold to my daughter, who's a physician, when I came home. It's not an easy sell, but you sell it with facts. You also sell it with the fact that we were just over at the Hackathon, over at Somerset for Appalachia. And it was a big conference, they got people together, and working together and talking together. And we were talking about obesity, diabetes, and opiate addiction, you know, for Eastern Kentucky. And one of the things that I did for my group is I made a little diagram. You've got biopsychosocial, the causes of addiction. You know, biological addiction, which is genetic, the psychological addiction, depression, you know, poverty, you've lost your job, social addiction, you know, poverty, you've lost your job. You can do an overlay on that. We're in West End of Louisville, where the forest, you got all the heroin, you know, but it's spread to the East End of Louisville. So you tell them, it's not one thing that's going to cure it. But this is one of the tools, like we made that last list. It's one of the tools in taking care of it. If doctors quit writing so many opiates, which we are going to, I will guarantee you, we're on that track. The last 3 years, you can see the downward trend on that. If doctors quit writing so many opiates and getting so many people addicted and start being a little more responsible on that, if we can do a needle exchange program, if we can get some treatment centers where we get these people into help and get them psychological help, get them spiritual help, get them physical help, we can do that. So you can tell the people when they're sitting there, say, well, I'm just opposed. Well, you know, it's not that simple a problem. It's not that straightforward a problem. It's got a lot of aspects to it, and you have to address all of those aspects to make a difference. And the social aspect may make a difference with one person, and the spiritual aspect may make a difference with another person. The fact that I prevented you from having hepatitis C and HIV, and you woke up and realized that went to counseling because you went to the needle exchange program, can be another aspect of it. So it's a multifaceted problem. It's got a whole lot of pictures to it, and you can't just attack one end of it or the other end. We've lost the war on drugs. Yeah, everybody here knows that. You know, we're going to stop drugs from coming in the United States. The only reason the cartels in Mexico are so strong is because Americans are buying it. 85% of your marijuana comes from Mexico. It's not local grown. It comes from Mexico. The Sinaloa cartel, the people that have killed 100,000 Mexicans, have controlled their police department, have cut off the heads of DEA agents, have so much power. They're in the United States now with the Zeta gangs and all that out in Los Angeles. We've given them the money. We're the ones that did that. And we've tried for, 30 years wanting to stop this? It's not going to stop. You know, we need to find some other methods to do that. And we're going to have to start taking drug treatment seriously. But the physical part, the hepatitis C, the hepatitis, you know, I would rather have the money to put in a rehab unit than treat somebody that's got hepatitis C or hepatitis or HIV. You know, I'd rather put that money into rehab units and an army of social workers and an army of psychologists than spend that money treating those medical problems. It'd be nice if we had the money available to do that. So it's a multifaceted problem. And I know the knee-jerk reaction, you can tell them exactly what I said. Yeah, your knee-jerk reaction, hit the brake and turn the wheel the wrong way. But that's not the right thing to do. So let's look at the whole problem. Let's look at the whole gamut. And all these wheels interact with each other. This is just one of the things that we need to be doing. You know, you can talk to your kids, tell them everything. That doesn't mean you're going to keep them off drugs. And everybody in here knows. You've got family members, you've got nephews, you've got cousins, you've got third cousins, you've got the neighborhood kid who grew up great, grew up from a good family, and he's doing drugs. Why? You know, we have to address it.
Touches every family in Rose.
It's everybody. Everybody's
It's
affected.
everybody's family.
Like I said, and people you trust, I mean, you can't look at somebody and say they're not a drug addict. I'm telling you. I've been burned as much as anybody. I was reading an article the other day about a 77-year-old lady that brought the doctor Christmas cookies every day, every Christmas, you know, and she's just the nicest little old lady. And then finally, because of the state rules, he started having to check on her hydrocodone. She was negative on her screens. Turns out she was getting them, and she was positive for marijuana. She was getting her hydrocodone pills and trading them for marijuana with her niece, so she could smoke the pot, and her niece was selling the hydrocodone pills. 77 years old, nice little, you can't tell. I mean, you don't know. You know, it's a problem. So it's out there, it's being done, but if we stop the physical part, we'll have more money to treat the other aspects of it. And that's what I would try to sell to them.
Is it possible, excuse me, to kind of paint us a picture of like what the clinic would, you know, the needle exchange would, like if I'm going in to exchange some needles, what I would be approached by, or like, would it be a counselor or some type of person?
We'd like that person to be a counselor.
Just to have a uplifting word for them, or?
There'll be actually two people, because there'll be a nurse who can do the testing, and the person who's the counselor and has the rapport and the lingo, as I say, you know, how they speak, what do you use, and I observed this kind of setting in Louisville, and these folks come in, and they really have a chit-chat, you know, what do you use, how often do you use, how many needles do you need, and they come in every week. So, you know, this guy begins to know them, and eventually some of them are interested in going to be treated.
Yeah.
So it's a real social, it's anonymous, yes, you do keep track of numbers and.
It's not like there's a sign that said, this is the needle exchange clinic.
No.
You don't walk into that sign, everybody in the waiting room knows what you're going in for.
And like there would be access to maybe some like informational stuff.
Absolutely, they get
they've all-
taught on everything.
And
There's
we all
education.
know that you have to make that decision for yourself, or at least think you are, that you want help, or you need help yourself. You can't force somebody or tell them they need to, just like, and I know a lot of these folks are, they feel like they're alone. There's a lot of time their families and everybody's disown them, and a kind word from somebody can mean a lot to them, and
Switch their minds.
sometimes open them up to listen.
Sometimes a doctor or nurse, you're the only person that's been nice to that person all week.
Yeah, I understand.
Everybody else is down on them, negative, their family's mad at them. And, you know, I can tell you that's my relation. I've had people I've preached to for 30 years and they finally quit smoking. You know,
Yeah.
I've had people I've preached to for 10 years, they finally quit smoking. I've had some of them, the first time or two I talked to them, they came back and said, you're right, I want to quit smoking. That's a drug addiction,
Yeah.
right? same thing. I mean, but I also had people in the hospital that were in with overdoses and sit at the bedside talking for 30 or 40 minutes, and they'll tell you, you're the only person that's talked nice to me in the last, year. No, everybody else is down on me, that's what.
Kind word goes a long
We
way.
want to make a difference with them, and that's what we're gonna be doing here. You're gonna have somebody that's thoughtful, that's concerned, that lets them know that there's somebody that cares about whether or not they get sick or not. They're not necessarily saying, you've got to quit drugs today, but they at least care whether or not you're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
And then the message may get through, this person does care about me, so maybe the quit doing drugs is a message I need to listen to.
Well, that could mean more difference than all your treatment getting them to the point where they want help or think they deserve help themselves, a lot of times can mean more than all the treatment programs, but we need treatment programs, don't get me wrong, but I know the kind word and the helping hand sometimes can go a long way.
This is gonna be a hard job for you guys, I understand it. I don't have any doubt about that at all. Like you said, I'll be willing to bet you 3/4 of the people in the county, when you first mentioned to them, gonna have the knee-jerk reaction that everybody else did. But you can give them information. And I'm more than willing to spend some time. I told Gary that, you wanna take me to McDonald's with you? I'll sit there, you give me a day, you give me a time, and if I'm not lecturing somewhere or taking care of a grandbaby that day, I'll meet you and go to McDonald's with you and sit there and talk to them about it.
Are we the first county that you've been to since the board voted?
Me?
Since the board voted at the last meeting to pursue it?
Well, I go to different counties, I've been to some before the meeting.
Okay.
For it, to present.
You went to
some of
Taylor
this.
County, didn't you?
We went to Taylor County, yes.
Oh, okay.
Taylor
Taylor
and
County.
Pulaski
I went to
County.
Cumberland
And Pulaski County.
Yeah.
And Adair and Casey, and I'm going to Clinton and Taylor again. So we're constantly trying to go somewhere to tell somebody how this is working.
Obviously, we believe it.
Where's the nearest exchange? Would
I
it be
think Barren River, is that right? Isn't that?
Glasgow?
I would suggest Louisville.
Bowling Green.
I would suggest Louisville if you want to go visit, because Laura and I stopped in there the other day. They were very open to let us see, and it was amazing just
I
to.
know Carter County's quite a way,
Yes.
just needs to,
Yeah.
Judge Malone, came and spoke to.
Barron has
There's
just
one in
started.
Jessamine County, I don't know.
Yeah, and they've just started too, so they're relatively new.
Oh,
Not a lot of
Barron
people are
County just
coming
started.
through.
Jessamine County.
So you can add.
Barron River,
Barron.
Bowling Green just started, Jessamine has just started. Not a lot of people, I think, have gone through those clinics yet, so.
Is there anybody here that's still negative about that we haven't, I understand what you're thinking about trying to talk to your people. Is there anybody here that just doesn't believe that this is a smart thing to do?
I've done a lot of study on that. I've been in a kind of a group that's in faith-based thing, wanting to help. And I've been studying it a while, and you don't like to think about giving somebody free, like you don't want to feel like that way, but yet, a drug problem can be treated, and like you said, you can go on to college, become a doctor, or lawyer, or a nurse, or all these different things. But if you get AIDS, that's a life sentence, and you never.
It's a chronic disease. It doesn't kill you nowadays. It's like COPD or diabetes. It's a chronic disease. It's not that you're gonna die next week like it used to be, or, 2 years like it used to be. It's a chronic disease, and society pays the cost of that,
Yes.
to pay for that. But at the same time, that person's taking it, and I'm telling you, from having to take those short term, the side effects of those drugs are not fun. They're not. I just had to take them for 3 or 4, I think it was 4 days before we got the lab test back. But it was not a fun drug to take.
I know a boy that here a while back stole his brother's. He was on insulin, stole his needles.
You'd be surprised how many 70-year-old ladies with diabetes that don't have much money, can't hardly afford their medicine,
They're selling.
are selling their syringes.
Yep.
So,
I'll just say something on that.
How many you got up there?
I've got quite a few.
That's right.
That's Hep C.
Yeah.
And, but just one thing, I'll just say about, it was new to us the first year that happened, and, one, diabetic, got the needle from the nurse because they're slick. And I found out about it. We done a cell search. I found the needle. It had already got into the hands of another inmate who had used it. He showed me his track mark, and I said, "What did you use in it?" And he said, "I took Tylenol and broke it up so that needle had already been used again. And just another example, recently, we found a needle that an inmate came from the hospital. It was an IV, and he had stuffed it down, or he or she had stuffed it down in the seat in the Sally port. And I've got it as evidence now wrapped up where nobody it's just an evidence bag I have. But the plan was to use it again, but they got scared and they got down to jail and afraid they'd get another charge. And we found it stuffed down in the seat. They're slick. I can't find where they put it down in there, but that's just a case of reusing these needles. And that's what a lot of them will tell you when they talk to you about their Hep C is, I don't know how many times I've used needles over and over and over again that other people have used.
When you're frisking somebody to come in jail, would you rather be stuck with a needle been used by one person or one been used by 20 people?
One person, because believe me, we found them taped to their leg.
Yeah.
Come to see my evidence bag sometime, and some that had hid in places you wouldn't believe that we were lucky enough to get out. We just happened to see when they squatted and caught. And so believe me, I've got.
I knew it was coming.
Anybody else got anything tonight on this?
You know, I wasn't aware of some of the stats, and that's what people's gonna run into. It would probably be a good thing if there was something posted in the paper and just give the highlights of this thing.
It's coming.
John would probably do that free.
I'm smelling smoke, that's all. What would you say?
Also,
I need something posted in the paper with these statistics.
I wanna talk with you and do it at Harvest Farm.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I think that would inform a lot of people, you know, because I had mixed feelings about this, you know. But what about these people? Do you have to build their confidence where they think you are not gonna turn them into the law over exchanging these needles? I mean, if I was a druggie, I'd be skittish of going down there
You know
and
what?
getting needles.
Drug addicts know more about the side effects of drugs than I do. They're serious.
Well, probably-
They know
probably
more.
right.
Because
They know
they've
more.
used them and you
They
don't.
use them and they exchange information with each other.
Oh, yeah,
And
I'm sure
maybe
they
the
do.
first time it may be a little bit slow, but the word will get out and get around quickly. And the word will get out to them that this is available and they get out there quickly. They talk to each other. They know, you know. I mean, the police department, the nurse at the emergency room, myself, the counselors at school, the courts out here, we all know the same people. We all know the same groups of people. We know.
They come in
And,
about every
and
Friday
they
night,
talk to
9
each other,
o'clock.
they exchange all that information, so it may be slow starting at first, but it will pick up.
I would say, yeah, you know, they'd have to build confidence, I mean, you know, where,
They get a
they
little
felt comfortable.
card that says they're a member of this club. And we discuss all this with the law enforcement, so that if they have this card and they're caught, they're okay. If they don't have this card, they're fair game.
Okay.
And they learn that, well, they didn't learn it in Lexington, so I guess they'll learn anyway.
I sit in Naloxone. Is that what it's called?
Naloxone.
Okay. I sit on a class up in Louisville about it. I thought it's just gonna be there with officers, but and I kept looking around and I thought, and there's a lot of addicts that were there. And so they have bought into it, you know, and I'm just saying, I still don't know a whole lot about it, but I was surprised. I thought they were educating officers about this naloxone, and it was addicts that were there.
There's a site called Erowid, EROWID, which all the druggies get on, exchange information. And like I said, I'm a medical review officer. My job is to understand. I teach other doctors how to interpret drug screens and that sort of thing. They get on there and they exchange when you can claim this and when you can claim that, what you can take to avoid this, how long this drug's going to be in your system. So if you take cocaine on Thursday night and they do your drug screen on Monday, they may miss you. So, you know, I mean, they have, you know, you get on a website, you just get on there, they have all kind of information. So they'll get the word out. They'll learn. They'll understand.
Okay, I'm coming to the clinic or exchange house, what we'll call it. And been using it, haven't been using it for a week, you know. Why do we need a new meter? Because, I mean, we're drug addicts, it's not, you don't really care.
You don't care at the time that you're getting ready to shoot up. But, you know, it's like everybody else. You go out and you sin and you got some guilt a little bit later. I don't care at the moment that I'm looking to shoot up what I'm shooting up with because I'm ready to get high and I'm going through withdrawal. But the next day I wake up and say, I wonder if that person had HIV. I wonder if that person had hepatitis C. Maybe I better do something about it. You know what I mean? I mean, at the moment you're doing it, they'll do anything. They'll sell their kids, they'll sell themselves. They don't care to get the drugs when they're really addicted and going through withdrawal because it's a terrible physical thing that's going on. But they're not inhuman. They're not stupid. The next day they're going to say, gosh, I could have been exposed to this. You know, this could have happened to me. And so they'll start thinking, and when it's available, and available at no cost to you, okay, you got the possibility that you know, the paraphernalia charge. And I understand that's the thing we're going to have trouble selling to the police departments. The paraphernalia is, they don't always catch them with the drugs, but they catch them with the paraphernalia, and that's going to take one of their charges away from them that they like to use. So that's going to be something we're going to have to talk about and interact with them. What can we do with things like, but you know, if they got the card, the police department says, you know, okay, yeah, they got this needle, but I can't get them for paraphernalia. And that's going to be our sell to the police department. I understand that.
Look
But-
at Seymour, Indiana. It's pathetic.
Well, like I said, 380,000 times 180, so I can do the math real quickly.
That's right.
But that's what it's going to cost to take care of those people in this one city with 2,500 people.
And they all had hepatitis C as well.
Mm-hmm. Every one of them.
But of those 23, the 12 out of the 23 that were checked recently in nearby county, none of them knew they had hepatitis C.
Yeah. And one of them was going down to the boat and just spreading it all over in Louisville.
And, you know, there might be
They
some
had
of us in here that
well, I
have been
seen
checked.
an article on TV about it.
One good thing about donating blood is you get your hepatitis C,
That's right.
hepatitis A, B, and HIV checked, so.
Yeah,
you know.
that's right.
Good.
Anybody else got anything? Y'all will keep us informed, I guess. Are you going to the city councils and talk to them next?
We can.
I think
Y'all
it's very good.
y'all know me, I ain't afraid to talk.
I'm gonna send you to all the counties.
About like me, you like to talk.
That was a 45-minute office visit with him every time he walked in.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next thing we've got on the agenda is Resolution 1608, Mr. James Sizemore was supposed to be here tonight to deal with that. I'm just gonna table it till November if he comes. If he doesn't show, then we won't deal with it. He said he'd be here and he didn't, so we'll table that. Next thing, we've got an open dump grant, solicitation of bids. We had a pre-bid meeting today for this cleanup of the dump at the Rock Quarry at the Russell Springs Fish and Game Club. We met with, we just had one contractor show, HM, and a gentleman out of Greensburg, and they've got a bid date. They need to submit a bid by October 20th at 1:30, is that correct? 1 o'clock. And I need the court's authorization ahead of time, I guess, just to open that bid and see if it is within our grant. We've got a grant for that. They've done sent us some
I'll
money.
make a motion to that effect, Judge. I know what you're talking about.
Had a motion by Magistrate Holt, second by Magistrate Waddell to go ahead and give us permission to open that bid that we received on 10/2016. If it is within the grant amount that we received to award that, if it's more than that, then it'll probably be rejected. Is that the way it'll work, Tim? Okay. They call it.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Waddell.
Yes.
Magistrate Holt.
Yes.
Magistrate Lloyd.
Yes.
Magistrate Richardson.
Did everybody get a copy of this over? Probably not.
I don't think
Okay,
so,
we
because I didn't get
just,
that
they
until.
done our inspection, they do them on a quarterly basis. And they found some problems with a couple of things on the elevator. I've been expecting this, that thing was put in 1978, so it's 38 years old. It's gonna be around $4,000 to $5,000 to do the corrections. And the thing about it, we're mandated by OSHA and everyone else to keep this thing up and going, so. Being my recommendation, we just have to, we'll probably have to spend this money and fix the elevator, but I just wanna bring it see if it's here also. Anybody got anything? That'd probably be good.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Magistrate Waddell, second by Magistrate Lloyd to go ahead and pursue, correcting this elevator project. Call the roll, please.
Magistrate Holt.
Yes.
Magistrate Lloyd.
Yes.
Magistrate Waddell.
Yes.
Magistrate Richardson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, another thing I'm always required, and I just put it on the agenda, usually they call, Russell Springs already called, Halloween hours. For some reason, the judge executive said so, it'll be from 5 to 8 o'clock on Halloween night, which is October 31st, it's on Monday night. So I guess that's when they'll observe all the trunk or treats and all that, Russell Springs, and trick or treating and all that, from 5 to 8. I think, Magistrate Richardson's got a road he wants to take in.
Yeah, it's, what's length of it?
Point 134, according to what I've read.
Yeah, .134, it's, out, Beckenridge down there, it's gonna be Popular Knob Road.
That's from our brother.
I'm gonna make a motion to take that road in.
I'll say.
Motion by Magistrate Richardson, second by Magistrate Holt to take Poplar Knob Road, it's off of Beckham Ridge, off of State Highway, .134 mile, a little over 13 hundredths of a mile. Call the roll, please.
Magistrate Waddell.
Yes.
Magistrate Richardson.
Yes.
Magistrate Johnson.
Yes.
Magistrate Holt.
Yes.
Magistrate Lloyd.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna share the ABC money again, we've been in since April, mid-April. This is 5 months now, this is the month of August reporting. Gross sales for the county, not counting the city of Rough Springs, it's just the county and the city of Jamestown. $622,415. The county has collected $32,427 thus far. In regulatory fees, 16,000 in license and application fees. And the city of Jamestown, to date, has collected, while they've been up and going, they've received from us $4,132 for their portion, which is 1/3 of what we collected in the city of Jamestown, except on Sunday sales, they get the entire 6%. So they did have a better month, I think, for September. The city of Jamestown, the gross sales were $81,704 versus $41,000 for the month of July, so just about double July. So evidently, they've sort of kicked in, started making some sales now. Everybody's got a copy though, we try to share them each month with everybody what's going on. It runs a month behind. Okay, anybody else got anything on the court? Your motion we adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Magistrate Waddell, second by Magistrate Lloyd, adjourn. All in favor, the same aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, appreciate it.